Is my screen visible to all?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, hi everyone, and thanks for joining today's call. And welcome to 29th Bangalore MuleSoft meetup. Okay. So today's topic is going to be MuleSoft integration with AWS SQS. Within that, we will be dealing with. We'll look at how to handle the large payloads. Okay, so I'll be the speaker for today's meetup. And yeah, about me, I'm Jyoti Nimbalkar. I'm currently at Nagaro as a staff engineer. I have around 7 years of IT experience, and currently I'm also a MuleSoft mentor and Bangalore Meetup group leader. You can contact me over LinkedIn if you got any doubts or if you want to speak in a meetup, right? And we have today's organizers, Bharat, Nitish, and myself. So Bharat, would you like to introduce yourself?
I think that's pretty much. I work at Salesforce as an MTS, and I look over the Nippon platform and everything at Salesforce. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Nitish. I'm senior application developer in Accenture, working in MuleSoft technology from 5+ years, and I'm based in Bangalore. And I'm also MuleSoft mentor and MuleSoft meetup leader for Bangalore and Surat. That's all from me. Welcome everyone. I'll hand over to Jyoti.
Yeah, thank you. All right then. Okay. So before starting with today's agenda, we'll talk a little bit about housekeeping points. So this meetup is purely for like knowledge purpose. We are not representing any organization here, and this session will be recorded and will be uploaded to the event page within 72 hours. And yeah, I guess if you guys have any questions or doubts, you can unmute yourself and ask it out. And initially, like mics weren't enabled for everyone. Now you guys can do it. And do share us the feedback after the meetup. Okay. So today's agenda is as follows. Done with the introduction part. So we'll talk a little bit about Amazon Web Services, SQS queues, S3 bucket, and then we'll discuss about large payloads and how to handle large payloads in SQS queues and other queues as well. And we'll do a small hands-on demonstration followed by Q&A session and networking. Right? So Amazon Web Services. So a little bit about AWS. As we all know, it's part of Amazon, and it provides on-demand cloud computing platforms. And we have around, like, AWS offers around 175 fully featured services, which are trusted by millions of active customers around the world. And we all know MuleSoft is also one of them. MuleSoft's Cloud Hub runs internally within the AWS infrastructure. And these are some of the services, famous ones listed here, like S3, we have Lambda, SQS, SNS, and all. Now talking about MuleSoft and AWS partnership, all know again, like MuleSoft provides out-of-the-box connectors. We have again S3, Amazon S3 connector, bucket connector, DynamoDB connector, and then we have SQS connector. Like all these connectors will help us to connect with various systems seamlessly. Then, okay, coming to AWS SQS connector again. So this AWS SQS connector lets us to send, store, receive the messages without even losing single message, right? And it also lets us integrate and decouple distributed software systems and components. Also through queues, not only from SQS queues, using any queue, we can achieve the reliability patterns in our projects. Okay. Now, in AWS connectors, we will usually find two types of queues: standard queues and FIFO queues. So again, we can choose these according to our requirements. Now, standard queues, we will be having high throughput in standard queues, but there won't be any order maintained. Again, if we go to FIFO queues, we'll get the order. The sequence will be maintained over here. However, with limited throughput, right? We can choose according to our requirements. Then S3 bucket. So S3 bucket is a storage connector. It helps us to store scale, like it helps us to store scale our projects, and then to maintain the data availability, security, performance. And not only this, customers from with all sizes and industries can make use of Amazon S3 bucket to store and protect the data for various range of use cases. Right? So we saw a little bit about, okay. So these are various use cases S3 bucket. Like we can use it for storage purpose, app building and native cloud-based storage, then for database backup and archiving, and business intelligence. Like according to our requirements, we can make use of these connectors. Okay, so before moving on to managing large payload topic, we'll quickly look at AWS account. I'll share the screen again. Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes, yes, Jyoti.
Okay, so this is my account. We can create this trial account, and it will be available to use for 1 year. We will get 1 year of subscription, and then for login purpose, maybe we can use any working email ID and the password which we used while creating the account. But in order to connect with the connectors, like for example, in connectors, we will be needing secret key and the access key. How to fetch this key? We have to go to this credentials page. Okay. So right now I have created one access key, but to make sure to store your secret key somewhere, because it won't be visible or available to copy afterwards. You have to store it somewhere as soon as you will create new access key. So right now I have the key created, so I'll be using this for demonstration. And yeah, that is about account. And let's see. So here all the services are listed which are available in AWS. And these are the ones which I have used recently. We go to simple queue service. Okay, this queue I have already created. It's quite easy to use, user friendly. If you click on queues, all your queues will be listed out here. This queue I have already created, and I'll be using this for my hands-on. To create the queue, again, simple steps. You can click on create queue, and you can choose the queue type and everything according to your requirement. So right now I have created the queue with all default settings. Then if you look at this certificate, if it is not listed over here, you can simply for S3, whichever service you want to work on. Right. So this is Amazon S3 bucket. I have created this large payload test bucket for demo purpose. Creating bucket also is quite easy. Just click on create bucket and select the options according to your requirement. You can create the bucket. Again, here I have used all default configurations. Right. Any doubts till now? Anyone?
I have posted one question in the chat.
Yeah.
S3
Yeah.
bucket is kind of database from AWS.
Yeah, we can consider it as database also. You can say as some file storing service as well. You can consider it like that as well. Um, and to S3 bucket, we can connect through SFTP configurations as well.
Uh,
Okay.
that answers your questions. We can't. It's not exactly a database. I can't call it as a database where you will not have any schemas and other things. It's basically a
Yeah,
connector where you can put different
store
kinds
your
of
data.
files. It could be any extension. Basically, file storage. Yeah. Guys, if anyone has any questions, right, there is an option to raise hands. Feel free to raise hand, or if you're not comfortable, you can put it on the chat. Yeah, Jyoti, please continue.
So it is a kind of a file storage system. So in MuleSoft, anyway, we have some file connector, right? Why do we have especially this S3 bucket connector?
So AWS itself is an altogether different service provided by Amazon. So it depends
Mhm.
upon the client. Like if they want to prefer store anything within the S3, they will definitely go to the S3. So if I'm the customer, I'm not using any S3. I'm using my own bare metal to spin up my own application or my services. I'll use file system which will directly connect it to my server. So again, it depends upon the user needs. So in this use case, right, Jyoti is trying to explain how do we manage the large payloads with SQS and S3. Again, it depends upon the requirement. Again, if you are not using S3 and SQS, maybe this may not be 100% would be helpful for you, but some things you can
No,
learn.
no. Actually, as per my experience, S3 is something different meaning. You guys are framing like a file storage. It's not a file storage. It's kind of a storing space. It will store the any kind of data or content, any kind of
Yeah,
thing in
can
terms of
we can
key
store
object
payloads.
pairs. Key and object pairs. Those objects in terms of files.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think.
Yeah. So that is where I have asked for the difference between SFTP and this S3 bucket connectors. So the SFTP connector you cannot manage with the files in terms of an object with special configuration like where AWS has been established.
Mhm. Like when I said we can connect to S3 bucket through SFTP connections as well. What happens is this happened with us in our one of the recent projects. We wanted to read on your update connector. We wanted to use that, and we wanted to read file from some subfolder. Like there were like so many subfolders. You can consider like subfolder one. Within that, we have subfolder two. Like that, structure was there. So when we tried reading through that on your updated connector, it did not work. So at that time, we had to go with SC connector. However, we were connecting to this SFT S3 bucket only through SFTP connector. So we have something called as AWS transfer family. So we can maybe you can go through that to connect to
Yes,
S3 bucket.
please proceed with your use case.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Is my screen visible? Right now, I'm sharing my whole
Yes,
screen.
Jyoti, it is visible.
Yeah. So now managing large payloads. So when I say managing large payloads, what I meant here is um, like managing payloads which are more than queue's limit. For example, right now for any point MQ, we have a limit of 10 MB. Whereas for SQS, it is just 256 56 KBs, I guess, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 256 KBs. So if we have a requirement where we have to push payload, which is more than 256 KBs, what all options we can have? Anybody can suggest? Okay. So most common answers what I received is maybe we can split the payload. Yeah, that is one option available. And we can compress the file. If we are trying with the file, then we can compress it. We can publish it to the queue. Then after subscribing, we can decompress it, right? So, but when actually I had this requirement when the demo that I'm giving today. So this is one from my project solution itself. So we were receiving idocs which we cannot split. We cannot split as well as we cannot decompress, because maybe in future we might get huge payload which even after compressing it, it might cross this 256 KB limit, right? So at that time we came across with this solution, which is quite easy, and no much configuration is needed here. And what we are doing here is actually we are storing that huge file in S3 bucket, and we are using a reference ID and storing it in a queue while publishing the data. And same thing happens while receiving the data as well, right? We will use the reference ID and place it in a queue, but the actual file resides under the S3 bucket. So like that, we are utilizing the queue service along with S3 bucket. And while we do this, we are not making any additional S3 bucket configurations as well. We'll see that in the demo. Okay. Okay, I have one simple application created over here. So this is to subscribe the messages. We'll see it towards the end. Right now, I'll create a small application. What I'll do is I'll try to push one small payload to the queue, and then we'll try the large payload. We'll see what happens. Okay. Okay. Before that, I have already built all the configurations, and I have added the properties over here. I have encrypted my access key and secret key, and I have added the region, SQS details, and bucket details. So now, in order to connect to SQS queues, I'll show you the configuration. So we are going to need, I'm using basic configuration here. We will be needing access key, secret key, and region details. Then we need ARN, right? No additional any advanced configuration is needed to read the simple small sized payload. Right? Okay, let's start. Okay, now I have already done the configuration. I'll quickly test the connection. It is successful. Okay. So after from Postman, I'll try to post a small payload. So after getting the payload, we'll have to convert it into a Java object. Since I'm actually posting a JSON payload, try to read it in JSON format. Just let me know if I'm doing any typo or anything. It's quite difficult to find it out afterwards. Just we'll drag over. Okay, here we'll have to provide the queue URL. Replacement URL. Yes. Okay, that is it. The configuration is already done. So I'll put a small logger here. Okay. I'll put a breakpoint over here. Run it in a deep mode. Please large payload. Okay, already I have prepared the Postman URL and everything. Okay, we'll try to publish a small message. And I have commented out this flow because as soon as we publish the data, it will be subscribed. So I just wanted to show the payload over AWS. Okay, this got deployed. We'll try to push the data. Okay, data is published. Okay, this is a message we can see. The payload has got successfully published to the queue. Now we'll try to push one large data. Guess I have one large payload here. I have created some dummy data. I just copied same values to make it more than 256 KB. I'll directly paste it over here. Okay. When we try to push it with normal configuration, we'll get error saying should be getting it. I guess I have already done the large payload settings. Which is over here. Okay. So let me disable it. I'll run it again. Okay, the configuration what we have to do is In the advanced section, we just have to provide the bucket name. We can choose edit inline under this option, large payload support, and we just have to provide the bucket name. I just want to show the message, error message, when we try to push data which is more than queue's limit. Okay, as you can see here, we received the message must be shorter than like 262 KB it is saying, but actually it is 256 KB. Okay. Now I'll again add that configuration. So to add what it does, as I explained already, it will just add the reference ID in the SQS queue, whereas the actual payload will be stored under S3 bucket. Maximum we can give 256 here, and from 256 KB till 2 GB files or data we can maintain, we can handle through this configuration. I'll do the test connection. Okay. Did I miss anything here? Secure : bucket dot path. Looks fine, right? Couldn't find configuration.
Yeah, Jyoti, it's fine. Actually, you are using colon properties. That's why it may say text unsuccessful.
Yes. Actually, it is AWS bucket dot path. I guess I have just given bucket dot path. I didn't know that such kind of error message also we are receiving. Usually it used to get missed and we used to get the error directly. Now I changed it, right? Maybe some tooling error. Okay, we'll leave it. I'll just say okay and I'll run it. Since we have already pushed one large payload, we'll see the same over here. Pull recent messages. This is first message that I posted, which is not subscribed yet again. And this is second message, which is a huge payload. See, we can see the reference ID here, and the actual payload we can see in the S3 bucket. If this is our actual payload, we can open it directly. Yeah, this is the payload. Okay, this is about publishing the payload. Let's see, quickly we'll look at subscribing the payload as well. Just uncoming this connector. I have used receive messages connector, but the configuration and everything is same. The queue URL and other details are same. Okay, one thing, like you must be knowing in any point MQ, we have the options of like automatic acknowledgement, right? Manual acknowledgement, where we can handle the acknowledgement mode manually. So similar kind of settings we can, similar kind of behavior we can achieve checking this preserve message button. So what happens is the message will be retained even after completing the process, and we have to manually handle it using one unique token, like we have the ACK token in any point in queue. Okay, though I have used standard queue, right now I'm receiving the messages in order, but it won't happen all the time. So if we want the messages to be subscribed in the same sequence as we published it, we have to go for FIFO queues. So that was first message, and as you can see here, this was my second payload. That was the demonstration. Any doubts till now?
Yeah, it's like a queue, right? It's not a topic. Like so, once we read the message, so we cannot read one more time for multiple subscribers.
Yeah, true. Like once we subscribe the message, we cannot read it again. Uh, but if we are preserving the message, again, after processing, we have to manually acknowledge the message, which from like after that, the message will be deleted.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
We have, I guess, couple of questions here.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask.
Comparison between SQS and endpoint MQ, like I guess queue-wise the behavior is same. However, the size limit in endpoint MQ is up to 10 MB, right? Whereas in SQS it is just 256 KBs, which is quite too less compared to endpoint MQ. Again, if we consider from the pricing point, SQS is quite cheap compared to endpoint MQ. And like the demonstration that we had handling large payload, I guess in any point MQ also we have similar uh, approach. We can refer to some file storage or blob storage to place the large payloads more than 10 MB, and then we can refer it using reference ID in the queue. But I have never tried it. Just
Amazon SQS is just publishing the message and consuming. Other than that, it will not provide any kind of functionality. If you take any point MQ, you can define the rules, business rules on top of the messages which you are publishing. And also, this Anypoint MQ will support all kind of messaging standard protocols in the industry. Amazon SQS will not support anything other than AWS.
It. Uh, I yes, looks like most of the questions were answered here. Guys, you can unmute yourself and ask if you have any questions, or maybe not necessarily it has to be related to the topic. We can discuss something else also related to MuleSoft community, networking, anything.
Sorry, just one quick question from my side. Like this is Rajesh here. So when you configure
Yeah.
the S3 bucket name for the large
Mhm.
payload, you haven't provided any access key or secret key. So is it the functionality by the SQS that creates its own bucket, or do we need to specify
Mm,
the specific bucket?
Yeah, the bucket I had already created it. We have to create it before using it. And the configuration, since I'm configuring it within the same SQS configuration, right? I'm not doing any separate configuration for S3 bucket. I'm doing it within this SQS configuration only under the
Okay.
advanced tab.
Oh, I see. So the basically the IAM user that you created should have this access for that
Yeah,
S3
yeah,
bucket as well.
right, right.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions, team? All right, I'll take it as a no. Jyoti and Nitesh, you have anything to update?
Um, no, Bharat, nothing from my end. Just that if
Um,
anybody wants to talk in upcoming MuleSoft meetups, just let us know, any one of us.